Indeed. So we're going to be doing a Q&A. Kelly, did you want to join?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to dig into this.
Right?
Okay. All right, and who had that? You can...
Oh, you, sorry. No, I don't.
Okay.
Well, we probably will, but you can get it on.
Okay, thank you. Amber Rose McNeill, one more round of applause. That was amazing. So to first point out, this is your time to shine and you're upstaged by the Grim Reaper. That's so Gorst. But anyways, I think you'll outshine him in a moment. But we were talking to you earlier because you're from Australia, but you live in LA now.
Yes.
So you were like one of like 5 people who came up from LA for the event, it seems like. But the thing that struck me with this, we were talking just about a morbid sense of humor.
Yeah.
And black humor and just kind of this, what would you describe the genre of your film?
I mean, I kind of want to class it as horror because I did do like a very small showing to some of my friends and they were disgusted by it. But to me, I would say this is definitely like black comedy.
And I think the whole idea of, we've seen stuff like this before, the whole, what was this, Awake? Like the whole funeral thing, the whole thing of how people deal with death and whatnot. So what motivated you to write this?
Well, tiny bit of backstory. This is one of my thesis films from film school. I'd actually written and produced, directed, spent months on this one film that we shot in the first week. We had 3 weeks of shooting, and the film for the third week actually dropped out. So during the second week, when I was second ADing on another project, I wrote, did all the pre-production, everything for this film, and then we shot it the following week.
Oh my God, that was fast.
Yeah, so I needed something that I could come up with very quickly. I was writing for a specific director who had never directed before. He was a really big fan of Kevin Smith, so I kind of wanted to add like a little bit of silliness to it. But I read this story maybe a year, 6 months before about this guy who lost his foot. I don't think he cut it off, I think he just lost it, or it had to be amputated, and he put it in his freezer, and he waited and asked some friends around if they would like to eat his flesh from his foot in some tacos. And I don't know if this is true, could be one of those urban legends, but it was one of those stories that was like floating around, so I kind of mashed that and a little bit of Kevin Smithian stuff together to get that.
So kind of Clerks at a funeral.
little bit. I mean, I don't know how much Kevin Smith there is in that, but I kind of wanted that like silliness factor, like a little bit of the absurd.
I think you achieved that.
Thank you.
So how about for the rest of you? What are some of your responses? You guys were laughing. Did you think it was kind of funny, but it had a serious undercurrent? Have any of you eaten dead friends? You have? Okay, question back there.
Have you ever, the casual way in which they handle the corpse, have you ever yourself been with a corpse? Have you ever had somebody, have you ever been around death, I guess?
Have I been with a corpse or been with a corpse? I feel like those are two very specific questions. Definitely not into necrophilia myself. Yeah, I have been around death quite a lot, I guess.
Did you have that casual response to it as what was portrayed in the film?
I think I kind of grew up death adjacent, so it wasn't necessarily such a taboo for me as I think it is in most Western cultures. Yeah. And I think maybe that's where the comedy comes in. My mom worked for the DPP in Australia, which is kind of the Department of Public Prosecutions. So they deal with a lot of murder cases, and I used to flutter around the offices and spent some time in the morgue. And I would hear the gallows humor that the people dealing with these cases would, the jokes they'd make to each other, not because they didn't take it seriously, but just because that's a way of coping. So I think that kind of really filtered into my sense of humor, which is kind of dark and deadpan to some extent.
Absolutely. So we always think of like a British sense of humor.
Yeah.
How is Australia different, or is it exactly the same?
I think it's very similar, but the English are definitely a lot more proper. Australians are just loud and just do not give a fuck. So we will make fun out of anything, anyone. If we really like you, we will be absolutely horrible to you in like a humorous way, we think at least. So I think Australians are a little bit more out there and will definitely get grosser and dirtier and sillier than the English will.
So you're a lot like Gorst.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a Gorst joke. You had a question. Who did? Did a filmmaker have a question? Who are the filmmakers in the room? We'll ask her a question. Okay, Ty, you had your hand up.
Oh, it's because you.
Because you had a very interesting film earlier. Had a lot of humor.
Darker humor.
Yeah. Could you write a movie that quickly?
I don't know. I don't think so. Was that different? Was that a new experience for you, having to write under the gun like that?
No, I write under the gun quite a lot.
Oh, really?
I feel like I probably do better under the gun than I do when I plan.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe not. I mean, like, when I watch that film, I can see all the faults that it has, but then I also realize, like, I wrote it and did everything in a week, and then we shot it, like, basically 8 days.
Wow.
From start to finish. I mean, plus the editing afterwards. But
How long did editing take?
it was done in an editing class, so I kind of have a few issues with the editing, and we never did a re-edit, but that was probably 2 weeks, and then post-sound was an additional week, and that was it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So your actors were really good. Did you get to help choose the actors?
I did the casting, yeah. Pretty much any film that I'm instrumental on, I like to cast, because I grew up acting when I was younger, never any good at it. But I think I can communicate quite well with actors and pick actors not just based on how they perform, but how they're going to be to work with. Like, are they going to be able to be on a set where we're making jokes about dead bodies and roll with the punches and all that kind of stuff? Yeah.
So what do you look for in an actor? We have some actors in the room, so if someone came to an audition, what would turn you off right away?
Can I give an example of a guy that really
Is he in the
turned
room?
me off? Not in this instance. I had a guy that came in, and as soon as he walked into the room, he kind of swaggered in and then stood against a wall, and then kind of went to sit down and hit on my casting assistant. And as soon as he was very extra, and as soon as he left, he threw his script in the bin, but proceeded to email me every morning and every afternoon, sending me photos of him with a lot of women, telling me why he should be in the role. Yeah, LA is fun.
Oh my god.
So don't do that.
Now for people in the room over 30, what does extra mean nowadays?
Oh, well, I am also over 30. I just talk like the cool kids do. Extra is like you're a lot. You're more than you should be. Sometimes in a fun way, sometimes in a...
Could it be like cocky?
Yeah. You're cocky, flamboyant, over the top.
Okay.
Yeah.
You probably are a new extra, I
Some
know.
of the people in your show were extra. I mean, like taking selfies with the, it's sort of like a commentary on our narcissistic culture.
Yeah, that was kind of their game. Like, they're a bunch of narcissistic millennials that, like, routinely hit up funerals to pose with the dead body and then post it on Reddit, which you probably couldn't see that screen very well because the screen was small, but...
Was this, like, in your way, the retribution for them being so casual about other people's deaths?
A little bit. I think I kind of wanted to focus a little bit. I mean, like, this wasn't a super deep film because I didn't have very much time to write it, but I think I get really frustrated with kind of the culture we have today, that everyone's on their phone and nobody really cares about what's happening in real life. They just care about what they can post online, and I think I kind of bridge the gap because I'm 37, but I look a lot younger, so I can kind of fit in with the cool kids. But I also feel like an old lady inside, so I get frustrated by that kind of behavior.
So you're like Drew Barrymore in that movie where she goes to high school undercover?
Exactly like that. Yes. That's me. Never been kissed. True story.
Amazing. So any other questions? And what do you think about just, I don't know, I think you just had a really good point of view. I was talking with some filmmakers earlier. There's a lot of stuff out there, but what you have, we have our own point of view when it comes to art. And it sounds like you have that. And if you're going to school, it sounds like maybe you have that more than the younger students. Like maybe you've developed more of your, where you're coming from with your art.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like I have a strong sense of self as a human being for the most part, and it's hard not to put that in my art or to bring that onto a set if I'm in a position of power. I've been writing for a long time. Like, I was a journalist for nearly 10 years. So writing's not new to me, and I think I just found a way to kind of hone that with everything I'm interested in and everything that I want to say. I feel like when I write something, I want it to say something, even if it's a silly, stupid something. I still want it to have some kind of point, if that makes sense.
So moving on from here, are you going to aim for a feature, another short? What's your career path now?
Well, I'm about to move to Milwaukee to finish my BFA in film, so that's exciting. For me, anyway. I know it sounds weird to a lot of people. I do have an idea for a feature script that I've been kind of doing the research for a long time, that I want to shoot in Milwaukee. I also have a short that I'm working on, which is kind of like it's kind of Flower, if anyone saw that film, probably not. But anyway, it's a good film. Matt Spicer, who did Ingrid Goes West. Anyway, Flower kind of meets Call Me By Your Name, it's a female revenge chick flick, but with a twist and some more substance.
Sounds cool. Well, before we move on, are there any more questions for Amber Rose?
Wait a question back.
What?
So can you name a few of your influences, like directors that have influenced you?
Yeah, I grew up watching a lot of David Lynch, which you may not be able to tell by watching that film in particular. I think I saw Blue Velvet when I was about 5, so that changed as a child. But in a good way, I hope. Kevin Smith is definitely an influence. I actually know him because I'm friends with a mutual friend of his. He's a lovely, kind person, and I do appreciate his films. I think they have a lot more to say than just the dick jokes people take him for. And Ari Aster, who is like coming up in horror at the moment, is absolutely brilliant. I just think bringing horror to a new level and doing different things and involving different genres is really cool, not just sticking to the old kind of format.
Are you familiar with Peter Greenaway?
Peter who, sorry?
Peter Greenaway?
Peter Greenaway. Yeah.
All right.
He's Australian, isn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah, yes, I do. I haven't thought about him for a while, but yes, I am.
The wife, the lover?
Oh, the cook, the thief, the wife, and her lover, yes. Yes.
They ate the lover.
They did. I mean, I also watched that when I was very young, so I think that's where the cannibalism comes in.
Good eye. Well, I think the last thing to wrap up, so came to Australia, or from Australia to LA, going to Wisconsin. How does Gorst rate with all the big cities you've been in?
Well, it's not a big city, which is kind of a good thing. The scenery is super pretty, and when I first got here, I didn't expect there would be like such an exciting art community where people were really interested in like collaborating and talking and like forming this community. So my first thought was, oh, there's not a lot here, and now that I've been to the festival, I'm like, this is really fucking cool. There is a community here, and anywhere you go, I feel there is going to be some kind of community where art is the focus, because it's necessary. If you're an artist, you just have to be around other artists. You can't just exist by yourself. And I think it's really beautiful that it doesn't matter where you go, there is going to be some kind of community surrounded, like, or focused on art.
Well, we have high expectations for your work in Wisconsin.
Thank you.
All right, give it up for Amber. So in this block, we have 2 more movies. Lost Property by C.J. Barnes, who was in last year's festival. See how we nurture the people. Sometimes you're in one festival and they'll never touch you again. This year we have like multiple people who have been in our festival in the past. And then we're going to wrap it up right after Lost Property with the highly anticipated, if for nothing else, the title of the film, The Butt Cheek Boys. Do they ever accidentally call you Butt Cheek Boys in real life? Okay. That's going to be Stavros and Brian, so stick around for that. When you watch it, start formulating your questions in your mind. All right.